Thunderhawk square bill. A little bitty. Got him in the lip, side of the head, got him a little bit of everywhere. Pretty little spot.
Thank you for tuning in today. Colton is out on the water while back of the boat Brad is on vacation. Colton bribed Spur Mountain Outdoors with McDonald's to squeeze in an episode for you guys and gals. They have 3 hours and 2 crankbaits and some tough fall fishing ahead. Let's see what we can round up and learn today.
There he is. Come on. Large head. Stay down there, bud. A little bitty large head. Pretty thing. Ooh. Fat, been eating good. So guys, today, obviously it's fall. I'm not wearing shorts, but I ain't giving up flip-flops now. But today we're gonna be talking about crankbaits. So crankbaits is a very efficient way to cover a lot of water and catch a lot of fish, but one of the most important things is just how versatile crankbaits are. You can fish them in a lot of different areas that you wouldn't think possible, but there's a few different crankbaits that I really like to use this time of year, and I'm gonna explain what they are and why. So stay tuned, this is something you don't wanna miss. There she is. Come on. Ooh, it's a good old spot. She is madder than a hornet. Pretty old spot. All right. Well, she looked a lot smaller out there busting them shads. She ain't a giant, but she is pretty. Pretty. Getting that gut full. So one of my favorite crankbaits to use, especially during the fall, is a lipless crankbait. Now, there's a couple different variations that you can choose from. You can choose from a silent, you can choose, one with multiple rattles inside the bait, but this one right here is a one knocker. It's made by Booyah. It's got one big single rattle in it. And I really like it this time of year because it starts to key these fish in on something, especially in this cooler weather with that tight wiggle. They can hear that vibration if you got rain coming in or anything like that, where your water's getting a little muddy or maybe the turnover's starting to happen and come up and that water gets a little dingy. To me, it's just easier for them to pinpoint the bait. Plus, I like to downsize my lipless crankbait, and that one knocker really helps me do that and really helps these fish locate the bait. So I typically like to throw a 1/4 ounce when it comes to my rattle traps this time of year, or lipless crankbaits, whatever you prefer to call them. But let's get back to fishing.
Today's weather log.
There he is. Come on. Oh man, that's a mean little spot. Maybe a little large head. That's a little large head. See him turn like a catfish? Yeah, a little old large head. Oh, there he goes, quick release. If I ain't got to worry about a hook, then I ain't gonna worry about it. But now, one of the other crankbaits that I really like to use, I'm gonna get to it. Is a square bill. Now, you know, y'all have heard me talk about the Thunder A10s or Thunderhawk A10 square bills a couple times. I really like these, especially if I'm trying to get down in that 5 to 6 foot range. These are going to dive a little bit deeper depending on the pound test that you put on here, but they come through wood cover really well. And a lot of you experienced guys in the fall, you know that these fish a lot of times like to push the wood cover. So being able to run a crankbait through those, you know, lay downs or standing timber or anything like that real efficiently is going to make you catch a lot more fish. But one of the most important things is when you're choosing a crankbait at all is making sure you got the right rod set up, because if you don't have the right rod set up, you're going to lose a lot of fish, whether they're just, you know, not getting a good hook in them or anything like that, kind of like the one you just saw get off. But, you know, you want to be able to give those fish some play. So we're going to talk about that next.
Today's equipment and baits.
Sure did. There it is. Running towards the boat. Another pretty spot. Coming up. Boy, colder water. This ain't got no quit in them. Ain't got no quit in them. So it feels good. Man, that's a small one. Man, they're so fat. That's one of the things I love about fishing on the spotted bass fishery. I mean, I like this fish. It's not an impressive fish by any means, but man, they just put up a good fight. So now, talking about your rod setups, this is going to be one of the most important things. If I'm fishing shallow, I like to go with 15-pound fluorocarbon. You don't really need that lighter line really for anything, you know, unless you're going deeper. So if I'm wanting to get my baits a little bit deeper than I typically run them, then I may go to like a 12 or even a 10-pound test. But now with the lipless crankbaits, that's one of my favorite things about the lipless crankbaits. They've got that tight wiggle and everything like I talked about, but you can fish this at any depth. It all depends on the fall rate. So if I want to get this bait a little deeper, I may go to a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. But typically if I'm chasing fish that are chasing shad, then that 1/4 ounce is perfect because I can slow roll it right below the surface, just like when you're on your lake or your river system, you see those shad running. All right, guys, so for the new segment, like I always say, you know, drop a comment down below if you have a channel or a social media that you're trying to grow, whether it's the outdoor industry or whatever. I'll check it out, and if I like it, I'll give you a shout out right here on the channel. So this week's shout out, I want to talk to you about Spur Mountain Outdoors. So some of you guys who've been on my channel for a long time, you've probably heard of him before. He's a good friend of mine. We do a lot of content together and stuff like that. He does a ton of hunting, whether that's hog hunting, rabbit hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting. I mean, any type of hunting that you like, predator hunting when it comes to coyotes and stuff like that. So, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff on top of the fishing, because he does also do fishing segments most of the time with me, make sure to check him out. That's Spur Mountain Outdoors on YouTube. Finally one on the grass. Fat little spot. Fat little spot. There we go. Pretty thing, pretty thing. So, you know, presentation is 99% of the game, period. No matter what time of year it is, presentation is one of the most important things whenever you're trying to catch fish or to find fish. So really keying in on that presentation can really help you. Now, this time of year when that water temperature reaches around that 75 degrees, it's time to start slowing down, unfortunately. So this time of year, what I like to do, I like to, you know, just kind of slow that reel down. Every now and again, integrate a pause, maybe a little pop, but I'm not ripping that bait, okay? I'm not ripping it like I'm ripping it out of grass or anything like that. It's typically like a slight pull. And then a pause behind that, and then I carry it back into the consistent reel. Doing that a lot of times will trigger a lot more bites. You'll catch a lot more fish, and it's a lot more fun.
Question of the day. When was the crankbait invented? 1954, 1972, 1938, 1906. Comment your answer below.
That's the problem when you get to talking about specific baits. There he is. There on that flat. I think it's a large head. No, it's a little spot. It is a little spot. Must have been that little one that's been bulling out there in the open. I know it, I know it. I don't like it no more than you do. You gotta watch these little ones that throw a hook in you quick. There we go. Pretty little old spot. So talking about the areas today, you know, this is basically, I want to say this is kind of like today focus. So, you know, take this with kind of like that grain of salt, because at any moment it could change. But today the flats seem to be more productive, and it is a very, very tough bite for morning, which is very, very surprising. But right now I can tell this lake here, I've fished this lake my whole life, it's starting to turn over. And with that, you know, usually there's this pretty green emerald color on this lake. It's kind of brown and dingy right now. And a lot of times these fish, it becomes difficult to catch certain fish. You can find the right ones, it's just covering a lot of water, and a crankbait can help you do that to make a slow day a little bit faster day. Now, everybody's just gonna have bad days from time to time. But the areas that I would focus on today specifically would be flats and areas where there's standing timber. Now, your typical fall day, if I'm going cranking, I've got some good wind, bright blue sunny skies, typically I'm gonna move into these creeks and stuff where the standing timber is, and I'm gonna crank these fish. Now, I'll start out with something like a lipless to see if I can get away with that tighter wiggle, faster retrieve. If I can't, even popping it or stopping it or suspending it or whatever the case may be, then I may swap to something like that A10 square bill. Now, if that doesn't work, typically your 10-foot range is gonna be one of the best. Now, if I'm fishing timber, I'm gonna go with like the Strike King Series 3, because I can keep that bait in that 10-foot range and it comes through wood cover very effectively, just like the Thunderhawk A10 does. But let's catch another fish and see what's going on.
In 1906, the crankbait was invented and was called the Wiggler. It was made by the Creek Chub Bait Company and later patented in 1920.
There she is. It's good. Oh yeah, large head. Ooh. Sitting right on that beaver dam. Right on that beaver dam. Pretty old large head. Chunky. See ya. So guys, in conclusion, fall can be very, very tough. Period. Certain times of the fall, it's like you have this downward spiral. A lot of people call it, you know, the bass flu and all that. They're biting somewhere. I don't care if you're fishing a lake or a river system, a pond, it doesn't matter. They're biting somewhere. So covering water is going to be the biggest key. Now, the biggest thing that I want you to understand with today, we got here at 7 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock right now. So, you know, we had that amount of time to find, you know, a limit of fish, and we have effectively. But, you know, countering off of what I just found right there, I would highly suggest, like today, if I was going to continue fishing, is to crank wood cover, crank a lot of wood cover, standing timber if possible, anything like that. I think it would become very, very productive. Now, Catching fish on the flats, at any time those fish can move off the flats and suspend. And as I was coming down the flat, off of that flat, there was a lot of fish that was sitting off the flat, which is the crankbait. Most of the time, it's not going to be the most efficient way to catch those fish. So if you take anything away from today, focus on your flats, especially cranking with lipless crankbaits. You know, in your wood cover and stuff, try those square bills, try those Series 3, Series 4, Series 5, you know, whatever. It depends on what depth those fish are sitting at your lake. Me personally, I stick with the Series 3. And as far as your colors, try to mimic shad and bluegill and crawfish at times if possible, but you know, 99% of the time those shad colors, you know, that white with some chartreuse, gray backs, stuff like that, those are going to be really effective, and so is those green pumpkin with the blues and stuff like that in it. So either way, I really appreciate you joining me today. I'll see you next time. You hold that for a second?
Yeah, I got you.
You do know I edit things. I broke every limb except for the one that counts. There we go. Wow, got a nick in it. Appreciate it.